Yes, Bobby the Brain Heenan. They tell us that the powers that be have stripped Conan and Kidman. I'm sorry. Conan and Kidman. I just want to do that for effect. The filthy animals of the WCW tag team titles. They have been stripped of those titles. We needed that information right off the bat because, well, there's been some shenanigans in the tag team division leading up to what's going to be a triple threat match later on.
Well, it was Ray and Conan, wasn't it? Because Ray had a leg injury.
Oh, yeah, probably the first.
Well, yeah, which I thought was hilarious.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, this is when he had the mask off and was tiny 16-year-old migrant worker Ray.
He looks like Eminem.
Friends.
Yeah. He looks like Marshall Mathers in his overalls and his crutches. It's so bad, but we don't get, like, the thing is, like, ordinarily you feel like there's a tremendous amount of, either there's a good video package to lead it off or, like, some really good commentary banter to set it up. Not really. We get this update on the tag title picture, and then we dive right into a banging opening match of the card. It's Lash LaRue challenging the Disco Inferno for the Cruiserweight Championship. And I'm sorry, like, I feel like when there's a pay-per-view, the very first track of entrance music that you play needs to blow the roof off because...
You mean for a wrestler? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
That first...
Like the Dudley Boys, like when they would, like, Royal Rumble.
Exactly.
So you're saying Disco Fever did not blow the fucking roof off?
Well, you just see, like, all these drunk Vegas people, they're like,
Who's this ass clown?
Do you... Like, what's funny is, the only reason I ever remember that Disco Inferno was in the Cruiserweight division was because of Revenge, when you could contend for the Cruiserweight title.
That's right.
With Disco Inferno.
He's my mom's favorite wrestler. Tell you that? She would always play as him, and I'd be Alex Wright.
Oh, and you have the duels, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is about Disco is he was awesome in a super cheesy way. And if you had the WCW PlayStation 1 game that had the horrible little clips that they would do if you hovered over them, which for some reason Crowsting was yelling like early 90s Spike blonde hair stain, whatever. Disco Inferno was a secret unlockable character. And if you unlock Disco, you also unlock the Disco Arena, which if you did Disco's taunt in the Disco Arena, all your opponents were forced to disco dance. Like some sort of hell. I mean, it was just... It was
I didn't play this game, but it sounds amazing.
It was.
I feel like they were like watching Mortal Kombat and like, we can do these friendships. We can one up the friendships and the babalities.
The thing is with that game at the time, because this is right before this, but it's perfect. There were so many rumors that, you do this and you unlock Goldberg. You do this and you unlock Raven's Flock and all this. And no, the unlockable people were a guy with a basketball for a head and some kind of Frankenstein.
Oh, Dr. Frank.
Dr. Frank.
Oh, yeah.
From Revenge.
Revenge, yep.
Revenge.
He was. Right.
I speared him to hell.
So, Lash LaRue, like, we know Disco...
He's a poor man's Chris Jericho.
Oh, man. Poor Lash LaRue.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
But he wasn't bad.
He wasn't bad, but, like...
He was Keisler 0.0.
Yeah. 0.0. 0.1.
Funny thing about this opening is a pet peeve I know of yours, and that's a champion comes out first.
It's the biggest pet peeve I have.
McMahon.
WrestleMania 5, one of my favorite calls ever. Yeah, because you tried to explain this to me once where someone was like, well, it's really like the champion...
Has discretion.
And I'm thinking, well, why the hell would the champion ever want to come out first? You know?
I mean, unless you're the Undertaker and you want to psych the hell out of your opponent, I could maybe buy that.
Maybe.
The Disco Inferno is not going to psych me.
Are you sure? Well, maybe it's planning that way. Oh, well, the people will sit here, they'll goof off and dance, and they'll boo him longer because he's the first one.
Well, here's the funny thing about Lash, though, is like, I feel like they were wanting him to be bigger than how he was received.
If
because
you listen to the commentating, how they talk about it.
They are building
They're kind of building him like with this backstory. And
yeah.
it's like,
but when he comes out, that crowd is so dead. They could care less about who this guy is. And the fact that this is a big problem with this match is it's really not it's not very well defined face and heel, even though you kind of get the idea maybe Disco's supposed to be the heel, but he actually gets more attention from the crowd than Lash does in any fashion. So
Disco could connect with the crowd. I always thought he was a bit of an underrated performer. Like if you ever listen to backstage interviews, people talking about Disco Inferno, they always make him sound like he's a goof.
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
And then they don't take him seriously. And I was always kind of surprised by that because I thought his in-ring work was fairly good.
Oh, he had like 12 signatures and 8 finishing moves. I mean, the guy like
and directions to perform them.
Like that was the most surprising thing. Like he, and his move was a stunner. And it was called the Chart Buster. But they called it something different.
It's called The Last Dance.
The Last Dance. Which I was like, that's not bad. But,
so the way this thing, like, I mean, Disco's in control early. You get the thumb to the eye. You know, he is trying to play heel to the Las Vegas crowd, but it doesn't seem like it. It works invariably. You hear occasional Disco sucks chants, but you know, whatever.
that could just be.
And it was like you were saying,
I like this guy, but Disco just sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like you were saying though, commentary keeps building him throughout the match. But there's a funny moment though where Bobby Heenan, like for whatever reason, even though his name's Lash LaRue, asks, "Hey Tony, where's this Lash LaRue from?" And I love Tony's response because he asked, "Oh, just ask Tenay. I don't know."
Just ask Tenay. He's the one who's interested in that kind of stuff. And I'm like, what?
I'm the play-by-play guy, backstory guys running around backstage. Do you not think, where you talk about Lash never got on, that if maybe the assistant coach from the Waterboy was his general manager to talk for him, you get a guy you can't understand to cut these awesome from Lash, and Lash can just be like whittling a coffin in the background or something, because it would work.
He could have been like and that's the thing, like, I don't even think he plays himself as a mega baby face in this. He doesn't seem to have.
He has a Chris Jericho swagger in early WCW.
See, that's the key.
Like around the time, like right before Jericho like lost it and ran that chair.
Right.
It was very reminiscent of that because I don't remember Lash LaRue very much. But they talk about his like previous work, his underground scene, stuff like that, and it's very clear that they're interested in him. But as like I have in my notes here, the match is. It's a little sloppy.
It's very sloppy.
Yeah, like there was one move that I liked, just one. Disco Inferno, I thought hit a great DDT.
Oh yeah,
Remember
yeah.
the DDT?
Yep.
Like it looked great.
Yeah.
But other than that, like there's a lot of
it almost seems like they did not talk about what they wanted to do. There's no road agent to guide them. It seems like I'm sure I'm wrong. I know somebody must have talked to them about how to guide the match, but clearly they are on 2 different pages throughout this entire thing because. Part of the problem is like Disco. He has a pretty defined style. He's going to work. Like he's a cruiserweight that's not going to do necessarily the classic Hoovy or Rey Mysterio type of cruiserweight moves. He's going to work technical to some degree, but he's a muscular guy, so he's going to work more power moves, probably for a smaller guy for the most part. Mm-hmm. But Lash, like his body type is so weird. Like he's not that well toned, which I don't think is a necessary thing. But the thing is, like. He gets right to it, folks.
It's strike 2. We skipped 1.
Well, he's a ginger who's not super pale, so that's what's going against him.
He does this cringing Hurricane Rana he looks like he lands on the back of his neck.
I have it right here. I actually wrote that down. I wrote Lash LaRue bad top rope Frankensteiner. Yeah. So I mean, I kind of remember it, but
terrible.
I mean, it must have been bad if I pointed it out.
That continue to follow the show. Lash LaRue does get cooler when the chops and puberty finally sets in, and he gets those cool L-shaped buttons.
Oh yeah, the L's. LL.
They grow in, and then he just eventually starts doing this.
You know who also had that? Horseshoe. Where did he go? He's not around here.
It's different because he had to do this.
And he did like the Austin arms.
But he did do the Austin.
But he curled the wrists.
Like snakes.
But they were creating a horseshoe as a tribute to his favorite cereal.
Disco then all of a sudden he goes on like he must get like dialed into like a mega special because he hits his signature swinging neck breaker.
Yep.
Followed by his spike pile driver.
I loved it. Awesome. You're right. That looked great. And they replayed it and it still looked good with the replay.
And I kept thinking, I was like, was this also the Chartbuster?
It's the Edge of Magic.
No, that's the next to last dance.
And then then the finish comes and it's very botchy. Like it
doesn't look right.
Yeah, and it's like he reverses into his last dance Stone Cold Stunner.
It's very odd because he doesn't do it like Austin, which is always the problem.
Right.
You know, like he takes his time with it, kind of like Austin did in the beginning.
Right before he added the kick.
Yeah, before he added the kick.
Right. And
Can I just ask, because
Sure.
this drives me nuts. It's it's a commentating thing that they do. What the hell is a pinning combination? Because they call it literally after like a clothesline and a cover. And Tony Schiavone goes, "Oh, great pinning combination."
Tony's on point in this match because he also doesn't know the name of the finishing move. He says, "That's his move. That's his move."
He's supposed to do the play. He's not supposed to name it.
He doesn't know where he's from. He doesn't know the name of the move.
He's not my fucking today.
When you're the play-by-play, I usually like.
If I'm listening to this on the radio,
He also doesn't have the living legend Larry Zbyszko there to remind him that wrestling is a human game of chess every 45 minutes on a night
So,
show.
like, the bummer is, like, as soon as that 3 count hits, I'm like, well, there goes Lash. There goes all that heat that
but then he pulls a real Chris Jericho and loses his shit.
and gives him the
gives him-
Kevin Owens spinning.
Yeah, it's the Kevin Owens.
Well, it's the whiplash, I guess.
Whistler. Oh, it's the J.K. Simmons.
I was,
The racist yellow M&M. Yes.
That move won an Oscar.
Oscar Lock 2015, bam!
No
And he
summer,
drops
no
it on the belt, and he nails it
Yeah,
square
it's
on
great.
the belt. But the funny thing is, like, the crowd
Yeah.
is kind of upset, but they're really not, because they're like, well, we didn't like him anyway.
Right. It's like, well, wait, weren't you the good guy?
I know, it's...
Good guys don't attack when they just whimper away, buddy.
I was confused. It's a 2.5 out of 5.
Backstage we go.
That's my review.
Tony and Bobby segue into problems with the Revolution. And for those keeping score at home, the Revolution are Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, and the franchise Shane Douglas. And so we see Chris Benoit, we see a video package of Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko walking into the arena only to be stopped by a very upset Perry Saturn who says, they haven't called. Well, why haven't you guys called? Dean tells him to stick the Revolution up his ass, and Benoit politely asks for that to be relayed to Shane Douglas. So it is plugging that there are problems within
Couldn't bother
a
to
stable.
be there.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
He couldn't get off from a shift at Community Cash. He knew what was coming.
We then immediately cut to a Harlem Heat promo.
Oh, man. Gold.
Booker T. Hitman tells them, we coming for those titles. Stevie Ray Neidhart, he chimes in as well with something I had forgotten.
What a great tag team,
I had
dude.
forgotten that they had gotten back together.
Right. I thought they were done. And
Oh,
it was
this
such a surprise.
This was after the NWO's gigantic, overstaffed implosion.
Right,
So,
when they grabbed Stevie.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Stevie just, are you done trying to use the flapjack for your finishing move?
Oh, Jesus. And it was funny, is like Booker, remember, a year before had arguably the best series of matches maybe that ever was with one
Rick
guy.
Martel?
Those,
Those were good matches.
Well,
Those
those
are the Benoit.
and the ones with Benoit.
The Benoit
Oh, the
ones.
Benoit matches.
The 7 best of 7 TV
I
title.
remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, those were
Were you at the
classic.
Coliseum when Benoit made him tap and took the belt off him and in one of those non-disclosed title changes?
Was it a house show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. If it was North Charleston Coliseum, I was there.
And that was, I remember I sat with somebody who got so angry that DDP kicked out of the even flow. He was like, this is so fake. And I was like, what? Wait, time out. Man.
That's what makes you think it's
Wow.
fake. That's what breaks the
I
fourth
could
wall.
kick out of a DDT.
Well, he probably hasn't watched wrestling since '88
Yeah.
when the
Oh,
DDT,
when the DDT
was a
the
finisher,
fucking move.
as opposed to
The second
Everyone
track
does.
off of 10.
So now we're set up. It is the tag team title match. We don't have a champion anymore because it's been officially taken away from the Filthy Animals, but it is Kidman and Conan defending against the First Family, who are Hugh Morris and Brian Knobbs under the tutelage of Jimmy Hart.
Doesn't that sound like a Bobby Heenan team?
Yeah.
Like I was like, well, who's this First Family? And I see them come out. I'm like, no way. Like,
they should have just
First
put
Family.
Heenan, let Heenan manage again, try to kill Hulkamania again.
The First Family, it's Dave Van Buren and Martin Roosevelt.
I think they're the only guys
my
that bother
God.
to go. It's called Halloween Havoc, guys. Let's dress up,
right.
But
but let's not have a theme.
But of course, the third team in this is the Harlem Heat. They're like what?
The only real team.
What are they're going for? Because they mention what
ninth
It's
title?
like their ninth title,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, which is epic for back when the WCW tag title meant something. But what's really funny is the Filthy Animals, and I hate calling them that, but Kidman and Conan both